Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, a Real Madrid podcast with me, Jarod Hector, joined by Loconte. What's up, my guy?
Yo, good to be back.
Yeah, it is good to be back. Had a nice little time being away, a little vacation, a little beach time. It's the summer, and as we are ending our summer vacation, Real Madrid players have also ended theirs, and they're back in training, getting ready for the start of the La Liga season, which, my God, it feels like last season just ended a month ago. Yep. Oh, wait, it's because it did just end a month ago.
Literally.
Literally. Thank you guys for everybody for tuning in, subscribing, liking. We're getting great feedback from you. Please continue to like, share, comment, subscribe to The Real Deal. Also, if you want the audio only version, we are on Apple and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. You can do that there as well. And make sure you're following us on social medias. All right, Loconte, I thought it'd be great to sort of talk about Real Madrid and Barcelona and their rivalry. Well, mainly for a couple of reasons. One, Barcelona seemingly, Loconte, cannot go a day without mentioning something Real Madrid related. And I'm just like, I don't understand why. Like, you guys, you won the, and I'm using air quotes if you're not watching this, domestic treble, right? So you're in the catbird seat. I don't know why you're talking about us, right? Like, I would be much more concerned about, are we going to repeat? Are we going to win the Champions League for the first time in, a decade or more, right? Like, that's what I'd be talking about, not Real Madrid.
Maybe is our captain going to allow us to register players?
Woo! Yeah, but they got a little bit of an issue up there, right? They stripped Ter Stegen of his captaincy. It's like, oh, and now they got to listen. How they handle their business, that is for Barcelona podcast to talk about. You guys can enjoy that. This is strictly about the rivalry between the two clubs. And I just find it so interesting. So I'm going to start here. First off, I didn't add this in the notes, but you remember this. So Luka Modric, everybody knows, left Real Madrid and is now a member of AC Milan. One of the great midfielders, not of his generation, of all time, of any generation, just an elite player. Universally loved and adorned by clubs and fans all over the world, right? When he was at visiting stadiums last year, got standing ovation, the whole nine. But Barcelona TV thought they were funny, and they're like, oh, we didn't do a tribute to Luka Modric. Thanks for his last great game when he made that pass to Koundé. And look, I'm not going to get on here and clutch my pearls or wave hands and go crazy. To me, Loconte, that is emblematic of the type of club that Barcelona is.
Yeah, and it's also literally a bad take because it wasn't even a bad pass or anything. It was just Brahim not anticipating it, and that's about it. Like, nothing to do with Luka, really.
Right.
But it's just, they really have those tendencies to steep low when they are on the higher horse, like they just go low because they want to take you down with them. It's just like, we're not used to being successful. So, hey, guess what? Come with us. And they just kind of invite you to a party, basically, underneath when you're right here and you're trying to go here. They go like, nah, come with us here. It's just, it's always been like this.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember, like, Pedri a few years ago. I remember we turned him down because we thought that he was very expensive, at least what Las Palmas was asking for him. By the way, they somehow promote Pedri as La Masia player. No, he's not. Stop lying. And we rejected signing him for that fee because it was a bit too much, to be honest, at that time for a player which you didn't know what was going to happen with.
Right.
And Pedri just kept talking about Madrid on every single interview that he was making. Literally, you could ask him about cucumbers, and he would go like, well, Madrid actually didn't want me, so I'm in a much better place, And he's just like, okay. It seems ingrained. Like, one player that I'm going to show respect to, which is very weird, is Messi, right?
Yeah.
Not once. I don't think I've ever seen him once try to drag Madrid into any conversation. I'll give that to him, even though amount of interviews Messi has done throughout the years are very small. He's been more like on a field type of player, but he hasn't really done it. Like, when I think of the pioneers, right, is Gerard Piqué, for example, who would talk more about Madrid than he would eat food, to be honest. And it's just really annoying because, I mean, they're not forcing. Thank God that our club doesn't really engage with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But as a fan, though, from the outside viewing in, it's just really annoying because you go like, okay, you spread all the false narratives in the world. You're a badly run club historically,
Mhm.
and you just try to somehow create like a shadow line
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
people bad at doing the sporting things. So, hey, let's talk about Madrid until something better comes out, right? Because
Yeah.
Gavi spoke about Madrid. Let's
Yep.
get that.
Mhm.
But then you realize that his relationship with Fermin Lopez is completely broken because of a female, I believe. Reports or something like
Mm.
this. And it's like then, while all of this is happening, they're having problems with their own captain and they're having
Mhm.
problems
Mhm.
registering players.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
while their president is going on national television and going like, oh, we're so financially great, we made 900 million this year, and I'm like, well, you're not even a 101 in La Liga still. But this is what I mean, right, when I
Yeah.
say creating narratives. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, Gavi is not doing well, okay, let's talk about Madrid there and say
Yeah.
that they're scared of us or something like
It
that.
is classic obfuscation. And when you are someone who understands media cycles, this is what you do. You distract with magic in your left hand so that you can do what you're doing with your right hand, right? It's a
Yeah.
simple trick so that no one's paying attention to what's actually happening. Let's keep bringing this other thing up because they also know it will rile up their fan base. It's going to get people on social media talking, right? I mean, think about it. ESPN, it's quiet right now in terms of football. Let's talk about Madrid and Barcelona, right? It'll get views and clicks. This is just the nature of how, sadly, the news and media cycle works these days. And that's a big reason for it. But like I said at the top of the show, Barcelona are defending league and CDR champions. They also won the Supercopa and they advanced to the semis of the Champions League, right?
Mhm.
So just on those factual statements alone, a better season than Real Madrid, right? So if
Yes.
it were me, I was FC Barcelona, it'd be like, are we going to repeat those 2 titles or 3 titles, excuse me, and are we going to get to a Champions League final with a chance of winning it? That's what I'd be talking about. But instead, right, Gavi, of course they're worried, they're being Madrid. We won 4 out of 4 Clásicos, and that's never happened before. It's logical that they're worried. At the end of the day, we were spectacular last season, and they didn't win anything. Now, that is a true statement. You were spectacular last season, and Madrid did not win anything, right? But again, and I get why Madrid is their measuring stick, right? And we'll
Yes.
get into that in a bit. But it's this constant need to bring them up at all times. When they were unveiling their new kits for this season, I think it was Rafinha, Yamal, and I forget who the other player was. You're like, oh, favorite moment of the season, 4-0 at the Bernabeu. It's like, they cannot go a second. I'm like, it wasn't winning the Super Cup. It wasn't winning Copa del Rey. It wasn't winning the league. Nope, it was 4-0. Like, and so I ask you this question, and I think I know the answer. Will Barcelona be happy not winning any titles, but beating Madrid every match they play in a season?
I mean, they give that clear indication. I'm still not sure if Mourinho's interview is real or not. I don't know. Don't quote me on this because I actually need to dig a little bit deeper and see if I can find the video. But there's a fake quote. I'm going to call it fake, but gonna do it like this because we don't really know whether it's fake or not. Where he says that for Barcelona beating Madrid is better than winning a trophy, right? It's just like, I still remember, so going back to this, remember the loss to Roma, right? They're not worried about the humiliation. There's literally footage leaked of PK saying, great, we gifted them another Champions League. And I'm like, so you just got humiliated, you're on plane, and your first thought is, oh, you gifted Madrid another Champions League. By the way, we beat them that season, so they didn't gift us anything. But I'm just saying in terms of their thought process, what they think of the first thing, it's, no, we're going to win La Liga. It's more like we must not let them win La Liga. It's that sort of mentality of like, the trophy is them not winning it. The trophy isn't what we're actually lifting. It's just the fact that we beat them. And that's it. We beat them on this race. While somebody should remind them that it's been a decade since they last played the Champions League final, by the way. But yeah.
It's hilarious to me. And then Danny Olmo also had some comments last week where you're talking about both clubs making signings, and almost says Real Madrid will also want to have the best players. So in that sense, it's all good. We've reinforced ourselves too, and I'd say better. And then when Danny was asked to double down on the claim, he didn't hesitate. Yes, for me, yes, basically saying that Barcelona made better signings. Now, I will say, Joan Garcia, excellent signing for Barcelona.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford, also a very excellent signing for Barcelona. I mean, to me, because here's what I think. Because I think Rashford will be, if that's your backup forward, if that's someone coming, that's wonderful for you. I think that's a good backup to have as a forward.
He's a good footballer on and off, and I don't know how he fits.
Consistency. Yeah. Yes, we'll see how he fits in the Flick system. But they had fine signings. But you can't tell me you think those signings are better than Trent, Dean, Masantuano, and Carreras, do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that he kind of had to say,
of course.
It's just the manner, it's just, it's always that demeaning manner. It's not like you can say, okay, they make great signings. They always make great signings. They're a great club, this and that, right? But I also believe we're better than them. I like the competitive spirit of a club like that, right? But it doesn't really come as competitive. It more comes as very insecure. It comes as very pushy that, hey, look at us. Look at us. Yes, they have signed Trent, but look at us, oh, they got a new coach, but look at us. It's just... It's more of like, look, I do understand. Everything on that club on the inside is a shit show. Literally everything. You don't want to be there. Right. And then you add the factor of the fact that, well, we all know that Hansi Flick's second season syndrome exists already, and that fear might be already coming in, and you're just like, okay, it's just... Because ultimately, we know one thing. They have never paid the price when they have spoken about us. They have never paid the price.
Right.
Because I remember back then, a week before El Clasico, they would have a shit game, usually, most of the time. They would go on. Maybe they even played that shit game on purpose, just to immediately after the game pile pressure on the referees. And then that pressure would lead the whole week until the El Clasico. Sorry, not the El Clasico, until the Clasico. But it's part of what they are. It's part of their institution, is the fact that they can speak, they can say anything and everything about Madrid, but just if they do well, they use those words. If they don't, well, those words kind of get buried. Because we don't bring them up normally. We just don't. As a club, we're very, let's look at ourselves type of club. I don't think we have really clapped back, since like the Mourinho era, where we just had to dethrone them. Right. And we're mostly like, okay, let's look after ourselves, our business. We're doing pretty well. All right. Like, we don't have to bother with this media thing. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Madrid doesn't utilize media for
they sure favors.
Do. Or every club does. But the way how Madrid does it is way more subtle. It's way more, okay, we can hide behind the transfer rumor after like a bad spell or something, right? Sometimes, there's a bad side where there's more that goes with the coach. Like Zidane wasn't happy with the reports and what was happening, lack of club backing when he was facing a few problems. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Madrid are perfect, right? But the way how they utilize the media, it's way less demonic in a sense than Barcelona does, because Barcelona spins the whole narrative.
Yeah. And that's the important part about this, right? Is that it is at once storytelling and framework for a narrative, right? Because that's how stories work and that's how they gain traction. We mentioned Barcelona won all 4 Clásicos last year. I'll remind everyone, the year before, Real Madrid won all 3 Clásicos that year, right? But there wasn't this same type of like, we won all 3. It's a thing. Like, it happened. We won what do we talk about? We won the double. That's what, right? When we're like, we won the double. That's what we talk about. Not that we beat Barcelona 3 times, because that just happened on the way to our ultimate goal, which is, as you know, if you know anything about Real Madrid, the most important thing is what? Winning the Champions League first, right? Then La Liga, then Copa del Rey somewhere and everything else, right? That's how they prioritize things. And I think it's so interesting from a historic standpoint, Loconte, because you mentioned they're always talking. Laporta, I feel like at least once a month will mention Madrid in an interview. Now,
Yeah.
he will give more interviews than Florentino Perez, clearly. So there is something to go with that. But when Florentino gives interview, like, he doesn't like Barcelona is not what he's talking about. Like he's not. That's not on his radar.
I think his last interview is literally the Super League that they were trying to make, right? With Chiringuito. I think that's the last time he even appeared to talk. Because to be honest, this is more like Perez has that more let's let the actions speak. You know, they speak louder than the words. While Barcelona is just the other way around. You can imagine how scarred they have been like up until the last season of like when is last time they were favorites playing against us, right? Like genuine favorites. Like you even had Messi on your team and we were struggling to score goals and you still couldn't beat us. Like literally like having who they like to call the greatest player of all time, who, by the way, on his way out, they completely leaked everything about.
Sure did.
It's just, if you have that and you still can't call yourself the better club, right? It's bound to create insecurities because you have that guy in your team, right? Like the greatest of all time. I have the GOAT here with me. And I still can't beat them. It's a bit weird, right?
Yeah.
Us Madrid fans, we used to speak a lot about our club having like a mental blockage playing against them, right? Because in all fairness, I mean, I have a bias, that's clear, but when they beat us, they have tendencies to beat us bad. Like last season, for example, the results were really bad. When we beat them, it's a bit more competitive. It's just like, it can swing, you know, like maybe one or two things can swing the match, even though you can't say this for 2 seasons prior because we literally were the better team on any minute of the games. But you can say that we don't really go for that killer blow, which they do, right? Now there is more like maybe we don't care enough about them and we just care about winning. And when they play us, they just play with their heart and soul, and
they want to embarrass us when they win.
Yes.
They want to embarrass us. We're like, we'll take a win. We don't. If it's 4-0, fine. If it's 3-2, we don't care. Like, let's win and move on, right? And I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that because a great book that Madrid fans probably know about is Fear and Loathing in La Liga, Barcelona and Real Madrid, and the world's greatest sports rivalry, written by Sid Lowe. It came out in 2012. I want to say 2013. This is a fantastic book about the history of this rivalry and how, again, Sid Lowe has no dog in the fight. Barcelona or Madrid, it's like, whatever. This is just a historical, like, retelling of everything. I find it so fascinating because when you really dig into this and the history, we talked about narrative. So much of it is born out of, and it's not documented in the book, Barcelona's hysteria and paranoia around everything Real Madrid, right? We all know that if you're a Madrid fan, you know, Barcelona fans will often tell you, you are Franco's team, right? Like that's why you guys win all the time, etc. And you know, when you actually do the homework and the history and the research on it, well, actually, during the Franco era, Barcelona won more than Madrid. So I don't know that you can actually say that we're Franco's team. But I did a quick look at the first 14 years when Franco was the de facto head of Spain after the Spanish Revolution. They won the league 5 times and had a runner-up finish. Real Madrid had 2 runner-up finishes, and that's it. Didn't even win the league in those first 14 years, right? And Barcelona fans also love to point to the Alfredo Di Stefano signing that, well, Barcelona wanted him and you guys pull some shady deal with Franco. But what they failed to leave out also is, but in the years prior to that, I want to say 3 or 4 years prior to that, Laszlo Kubala was also approached and signed. I wanted to be signed by Madrid, but Barcelona somehow got him. But they don't use that as some kind of conspiracy theory, like, oh, we just got him, right? It's like, guys, it's sports and things happen. We both go after the same player. 1 year you got them. The next time we got the guy. Like, it's not some big conspiracy. Oh my God, Franco's trying to rig it so you guys can win.
I mean, it's still there on Madrid's YouTube channel when I think it was 2022 or 23. Laporta goes on like literally live television and he goes like, we're not a club that was backed by a dictator, right? And he's like, okay, this crossing the line because Madrid as a club understood that fans might say it and we don't care. But when it's coming from a fucking president, hold on a minute. And Madrid went on into releasing like a 12-minute video where they completely kill all of his points one by one by just going like, no, we didn't win enough. We had more classical wins. This is what happened. We got damaged here. We got damaged there. It's a great outlook for the history if people care. It's on Madrid's official YouTube channel because they needed to clap back with something when such statement is made, because it's literally brand damaging when it's coming from a president, right? But again, as I said, Laporta somehow unscathed. Even though no response to that video, nothing, literally. Barcelona just went like, no, we didn't say anything. It's just like, okay, you just, like literally, it's kind of like murder on a dance floor type of thing, It's like, they got killed and they have nothing to say. So, okay, let's go into the next thing. Yeah. Just like you said, Sid's a great writer, by the way. If people want to see his work, like he's an incredible writer, they should definitely pick that book and read it. I remember I read it a couple of years ago now, because the book is relatively quite old. So it's a great one. But even if you want to write about the modern era of these two clubs, right, you're going to find like different parallels. For example, like I never agreed with I call it loser's mentality, which Madrid had on the early 2010s, right? When we were crying, whining way too much. Sometimes had the rights, but the other times not really, because I don't really like that for as long as you don't have results to back it up. To me, you just come as a sore loser, and that's about it. I would leave it for the neighbors at Catalonia. So it's we kind of revert into that last season, where we were talking more about the referees, at least as a club, Ancelotti especially. Players did refrain quite a bit from mentioning it, but Ancelotti was most certainly shoehorning at that point. I didn't agree with them using Real Madrid TV, for example. I don't agree with that. I think it's... Look, if you were a club that's mid-size, you're not really helped, because ultimately the way how I see Madrid and Barcelona is that they're going to have the biggest shareholder fans across the world in terms of Spanish football. Therefore, it's very likely that even the referees in Spain are probably split in terms of who they favor. Even if you're hurt, you're probably 55 to 45 at best hurt. You're not like that. Okay,
70-30, 80-20. It's not that lopsided.
Yeah. Even if you want to argue last season felt more like it, I believe that those videos, this pressure from the get-go did not help that case at all.
No.
So whining about the referees, playing the victim, always trying to be like, oh, we're the good guys. It's just those guys are the bad guys. Leave that to Barcelona. They're good at doing that. If Barcelona was running the same campaign that we were running, trust me, people would be calling the Spanish referees worst in the world, this and that. But we were running it. And realistically speaking, I don't think we know how to do this. I'm being honest.
No.
If you want, well, get some of their ex-employees, and maybe they can teach you a thing or two.
No, I love that you brought that up, Loconte, because I've said this numerous times. For a club of the status and stature of Real Madrid, using Real Madrid TV to go at the refs, that is behavior unbecoming of a club of this status. It just, again, to your point, leave that to Barcelona. Let them do propaganda like that. Now, if you have legitimate referee gripes, and there were moments last year where there were legitimate gripes, you file the appropriate paperwork and do what you got to do. Now, we know they're not going to do anything because that's just how it goes. And I do think that point you mentioned is important, because coming to this from a United States of America perspective and how we view sports, right? So the biggest sport in that country is NFL, right? American football. Yes. Even if you are a third generation referee and your dad grew up a Packers fan and you are a Packers fan, you're not going to be making obvious calls for the Packers. Like, you're just not, because even though football matters to you, American football, it's not in the same way that European football matters in that country, particularly as it relates to the Spanish Civil War, Barcelona's whole Mesque un Club, right? Like their whole aura, right? It is more than just football, right? It is about identity and this, that, and the third, and politics and all these other extra things
Very
that
political,
sometimes
insane.
Yes. are unfairly added to something where, guys, this is just football. Like, this has nothing to do with this stuff. But you create this environment where it turns into this big drama, and it's all part of the show. And again, guys, this has been going on for well over 100 years now, right? So this is ingrained, and it's like, you ever played a telephone game? You tell one person one thing. By the time it gets to the end, the story is nowhere near what the first person. That's where we are now, right? And over time, the legend grows and more things get added. And also, thing you need to know is, people, human memory is a very frail thing, right? There's a reason why eyewitness accounts in crimes are not reliable, because on Tuesday they said one thing, and then you ask them again on Wednesday, they said something completely different. That's just how life works, right? And when you add all the emotion involved in this, right? And this is an emotional thing. Like, I want my club to win. It turns into all these other extra things.
Exactly, right? It's just like, as we even say, history sometimes has tendencies of being written by the winners. We never know the full story of any story that we're given. We know one side of the story, and that's all what we're going to know, right? If we didn't get to live it. That's why, for the most part, I just reference when I was alive and what I can recall, what has been done, because I saw that. I saw that manipulation being done using the media. And okay, at one point, I might have been like naive enough, right? But we all have access to the internet. We all can pretty much do our own research. You don't have to believe what anybody and everybody says. And also, the more you dig into this stuff, it's like the more you see how we even spoke about Mbappe in France, right? With Cerrone, where we went like, yeah, narratives with him have been like way too shifted. It's not really the truth, but this is the story they want to give to you. They want to give you this story. Now, whether you're going to have some critical thinking and going like, well, okay, that's fair enough, but there isn't really anything backing those, like any club. If you want to tell me, okay, Madrid was a Franco's club, which they did the funniest part with the signing this summer. But if you want to tell me that they were Franco's club, right? I might sit down and be like, okay, fair enough, But then when I start digging into the history and the success and the way of both of, actually three of the clubs, like Madrid, Atleti, and Barcelona operated during that time, it becomes painfully obvious that Madrid was not that team. They were not what you were told. They were not what you grew up to believe, that they were some dictator's club. No, they weren't. Like Alfredo Di Stefano, like you mentioned. Yeah, that's one, right? It's just Real Madrid have historically built figures, right? Starting from the Bernabeu, who pretty much we call the stadium after, and I hope that we never reach a point where that name gets to be changed because of his influence within the history of the club, right? Yeah. Then you go to Di Stefano, then you go to Juanito, right? The guy we reference. Look, a lot of great players have worn 7 for Madrid. You can even say better footballers than Juanito. Nobody will replace Juanito within this club's history. The 7th minute, that chant on Bernabeu, every single game, that's not going to be replaced because of what they did for the club, because of where they got the club ultimately. And now you want some guy who's literally a Barcelona mouthpiece or Barcelona player or employee or whatever to just tell us that, hey, no, this is like this. Well, not really, because we have a very rich history. We're the greatest club in the world. Every club, literally, there was AC Milan at one point and Bayern Munich, who were those like the 3 teams that you wanted to say, but the fall off, the inconsistencies of these 2 clubs, while Madrid kept consistency now for we're going to go into 100 years with the way how it's going. The fact that they have kept this consistency just makes them not only football's biggest franchise, right? Club, but sports. There is no bigger club in whole sports. You can go like, we can go into a route like, okay, we say we will always start with the second best. Are we going to call the Lakers like the second biggest franchise ever? Or
maybe,
I'm just taking them as like, because even a casual are going to know who LA Lakers are, if that makes sense, right? Yep. But Madrid are that top. It's just, it does not get bigger than this. You'll try to match it.
Right.
Good luck with it.
Right.
But you will always be behind because this is not just a club that was successful once in a lifetime, like Nottingham Forest being a relevant club 50 years ago. This is a club that's been relevant throughout the decades, has adapted itself to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why Laporta goes on live television and he goes like, hey guys, we made 900 million revenue this year while playing in Saudi, while traveling with the team in US for friendlies and winning the league and Copa del Rey. If we don't want to even count Supercopa in terms of the monies they made, while Real Madrid are chilling there and they're going like, oh yeah, our yearly revenue is just a normal statement and it's 1.5 billion.
Right.
You know, it's just 1.5 billion. You know, it's just like,
It's a matter of fact. And I think that's what's so interesting, Loconte, is that when you are a club like Real Madrid, and yes, these clubs are smaller, but in Major League Baseball, the New York Yankees, in NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers, Boston Celtics, when you're a team that has won so much, you are always the target. In college basketball in the States, Duke basketball is often a victim of this as well, right? You're going to have natural built-in haters because when you are constantly winning, and I know this as a kid growing up, I hated Duke. I hated the Boston Celtics, right? Like you right? Like because those teams would often stop your favorite team from winning. Yeah. These are all natural feelings to have. Nothing is bad. It's just the reality of it, right? But when you think about, okay, but what is true and what is a narrative, right? And when you are this long-standing club like Real Madrid, where again, 15 European titles, right? The most, and I always tell people, they always say to me, again, your Franco's out. I was like, okay. Take away every European Cup before 2000. Those don't exist. We didn't win those. We still, if we take from 2001 on, we still have more than anybody else. No, like so I don't care. Like fine. Before 2000 never existed. Fine, take it away. It's irrelevant. 2000 on, but by 2000, Franco had been dead for 25 years. So I mean, what are we talking about here?
I mean, Franco, now it's Perez. Even though you can watch Madrid do the three-peat on 4K, by the way, not even like Lakers did the three-peat. Right. I don't think that's in 4K. Madrid's three-peat is on 4K, right? Literally, it's on 4K. Oh, by the way. That's one of the games where the referee said that, I noticed that I made a mistake with the Ramos goal, so I had to give Griezmann a cheap penalty because I needed to even things out. That is those that, and somehow that interview gets used against us, even though human error, VAR wasn't back then. Even, you said from 2000, right? Let's say since VAR joined football. Who's won the most Champions League since that?
I mean, there you go.
Like any era that you really want to get into, anything, what we saw, what kids nowadays saw, like what my generation saw. Look, guys, I'm just going to say this. I grew up with this club under Roman Calderon, right? Like, those were dark times. I'm genuinely going to say dark times. And we were still a name. We never dropped from the top three. We were at our worst, literally worst, like Metzelder, Finnish Cannavaro, Cicinho, like it was just a bad team. It's just, it's hard to look back. Like I still remember Liverpool beating us and it was like in such embarrassing fashion. And then Leon was bouncing us. Literally, we signed Cristiano Ronaldo and Leon are still bouncing us. Literally left you with a scar. When we beat Leon the next year under Mourinho, it was like, there you go, finally, like I lived through it, and this club never lost its relevancy. Even Manchester United, who undoubtedly have been a big club, look at them now or over the past 10 years.
Fledgling. Bad, Loconte.
You can't even say that they haven't spent money. They have spent a lot of money. And you can't say anything. It's just the fact that maintaining this sort of relevancy, even during dark times, is just Cristiano Ronaldo is going to Sir Alex Ferguson and going like, hey, I want to join this club. This club that came third, this club that just got bounced off the Champions League in embarrassing fashion. The guy just goes like, hey, I'm a Ballon d'Or winner. I really want to join them, because I want to represent that shirt. And this is the type of club that we're really talking about here. That's during a dark time, because the reason why we need to give Ronaldo like more flowers is the fact that his name being attached kind of allowed that 2009 summer to really happen. Yes, a lot of things went there. I'm not going to say that Ronaldo is the sole reason,
right?
But he definitely was the leading charge of that, because they go like, okay, so I'm going to play with Ronaldo, literally. So I have a guy who's going to take pressure off me, definitely. And I'm going to represent Madrid. Benzema is literally crying when he's being presented as a Real Madrid player. By the way, for people that were not alive or were not watching football at that point, what Karim Benzema was to football at that time is what Kylian Mbappe was at Monaco, right?
Benzema a young ascending star.
Manchester United were begging for him. Every big club was in there. They were begging him. And us, we got him while having Higuain and Raul in his first season.
Yeah.
And he still joined. And he was even crying. Of course, he became a club legend and he worked his ass off. But what I'm saying is how the stories start, right? It's just, those stories are not really given to you enough. It's just like Ronaldo bouncing from like peak Manchester United, really. They literally made the Champions League final without him still, and he still bounced to play for Madrid. Like, even Mbappe, we don't really know what the whole story is there, right? On 2022, maybe we jumped the gun a bit too much on what happened, because Mbappe has given us a few hints when he went like, well, there was a lot of pressure and I don't want to get into it. And we know that he was holding meetings with the Qatar and Macron, right? So God knows what's happened there. But even he jumped ship at one point, because this is the dream. And we are that club. For your favorite player, I'm going to tell you, whether you're a Barcelona fan or any other club, for your favorite player, for your greatest player ever, we were always the first choice. Always. If they could play for us, they would have.
Yeah, and that is the history of the badge and this legendary club, right? It is, again, it won the award for the best team of the 20th century. It will win for the best team of the 21st century. Like, it's just, this is who Real Madrid is. It's just the history of the club, right? If you've ever been lucky enough to go to the Bernabeu and take a tour, as I did in 2009, they first walk you through the trophy hall. And so this is before the renovations, and all you see is just shiny stuff everywhere. And I don't mean just the Champions League. It's every single piece of silverware they've won. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's just right. It's just historic. And when you have that, and I think, Loconte, that's Florentino's mindset. That's why when he talks, he's never talking about Barcelona or this club or that club. It's always with a larger view of how is this club going to continue to maintain its relevance as the greatest club in all of sports. I think that's where his mind always is. Oh, we lost the Clasico. Great. Okay. I'm not saying he's happy. Don't get me wrong. He's not happy when we lose Clásicos, as evidenced by the signings this summer, right? Like, but he doesn't go out into the media and do like 55 interviews about. It's okay. We got to do some changing, but also his mind is always on what's the larger thing. How do I keep this club at the top and relevant, not just from a sporting perspective, but from a business perspective as well?
Business perspective, yes. I mean, you literally have like fake. I'm gonna be real and go on a record, like fake sponsorship deals of PSG and Man City floating around, right? Literally, let's be real. Those are sports washing at its best, 101. Even if you go and read a little bit into them, you'll be able to call it, right? But guess what? Legally, they were just able to find holes to be able to generate those revenues to allow them to spend as much as they do. Madrid are natural. It's a self-owned club. It's not a club that has billionaires behind it. Florentino Perez is a billionaire, by the way, but his money does actually, the money that Madrid uses doesn't come from his own pocket. He gets paid a wage or whatever the structure is to be the president. That's why we elect presidents. We're a self-sustaining club, and that's what makes it even more impressive. The club with most revenue generated in a world that we're living in today, right?
Mhm,
Because things
mhm,
have changed. Now, a smaller club can get just as big by just the right investments, just the right
mhm,
way. I mean,
mhm,
let's be real. PSG, really?
mhm,
Like, we're counting them as a big club now. Like,
mhm,
their only relevance to football since I was alive until the Qataris came was having Ronaldinho. Literally.
mhm,
That's it.
mhm.
Like, I didn't know anything about PSG and cool kids, I want to say.
Yeah,
But,
Jordan Branch, cool stuff.
it's just, that was PSG before all of this. Like, if you were to tell me a club from France, I would have, at least my generation, would have gone Lyon or
Mhm,
Marseille.
mhm.
This is where we would have gone. We would not have gone PSG. We just like we would not have gone Manchester City either,
Right, right.
right?
You go Man
And
U, you'd go Tottenham, you'd go a bunch of other places.
yeah, exactly. Like Arsenal,
Mhm,
because like okay, Chelsea became more relevant earlier, but
mhm,
we know that Chelsea was kind of the pioneer of this style of football, if we
mhm.
really want to be honest. But they still have Franco Zola, at least a little bit more history coming in, right? So also an English club, which helps a lot, being an
Mhm,
international language. Just like
mhm.
we say, why you can beat a Premier League in terms of like marketing perspective and
Right.
anything. It's
English.
just the language itself
Mhm,
alone just puts them into a higher margin. Because personally, as a football fan, I enjoy watching Spanish football a lot more than
mhm,
English football. Therefore, I end up watching it a lot more.
mhm.
But marketing perspective, that's not how the world is, right?
Right.
It just
Mhm.
depends on how you view it. But there is one thing though. Madrid are still going to lead the pretty much every metric out
Yeah.
there. Like we
Yep.
saw in US, right?
Mhm.
Literally, a Madrid game was pulling more views than the more people into the stadium than the final itself.
Yep.
Literally.
Mhm,
So they were, I think, second highest earning club of the Club World Cup to
mhm,
Chelsea, who got the big prize of winning it
mhm,
while getting bounced.
mhm,
And it's just like, it goes to show the level where they are. Like, look, I don't live in US, right? So I'm
mhm,
not gonna sit here and pretend, but I would imagine that football slash soccer called there,
mhm.
right? It's not as big as it's in Europe. I've
No,
seen massive
not close.
growth.
Mhm,
I've seen a massive growth, but still,
mhm,
when you think of US, you think, as you said, NFL, you
mhm,
think of like basketball,
mhm,
NBA.
mhm.
Those are like more of like cultural things that come from US. Then football, I'm not saying that it's not there. I mean, for the love of God, they have Lionel Messi playing football out there. So it goes to show that to a certain extent, they take it seriously. But
Right,
to see it to the magnitude that we saw it on Club World Cup, right, with
right.
Madrid,
Yeah,
is just like it's a stamp.
yeah.
Why do you think that Saudi wants to host it?
Mhm.
Trust me, it's not bad to say, but it's not because Valencia is going to go, or Osasuna is going to go, or Mallorca is going to go, or really not even Barcelona is going to go. It's about Madrid are going to go.
Yeah, yeah. Madrid's the draw. That is the draw. It is the iconic badge. It is when you talk about business and brand worth, right? That brand insignia, right, is worth a lot. And again, Florentino, it's and this is not about is Barca doing things right or wrong, right? Like Spotify Camp Now, the Rolling Stones jerseys, all the different things that they do.
Yeah.
Madrid's like, look, it's they go very specific about whom they partner with and how much, and they don't devalue what they're giving you a piece of the brand kit for, right? So of course, Fly Emirates, which has a bunch of other clubs it sponsors, right, on the front, but even on the
Yeah.
sleeve, right, the HP, right, like that. Again, you think of like HP, you're like, oh, some boring like tech company, whatever, and it's like old established, but that's what Florentino wants, right? Because he sets a specific number. This is how much. We're not bargaining. I'm not going to say, okay, get it for $5. Nope. And if you don't want it, it's fine. Somebody else will pay the money that I want because we are Real Madrid.
I mentioned the number before, right? Keep in mind that this number is kind of skewed for us because we faced a bit of difficulties with the stadium. There were some things like the noise, they couldn't
Yep.
really host events.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, they're going to host NFL games
Yeah.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're
This
going to
season
host
coming up in September, I think. Yep.
they're going to host concerts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's the way how Perez has envisioned of one day he's going to leave the club, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the state. There is revenue coming everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest sponsorship shirt deal is Real Madrid's. Biggest any sort of sponsorship that you can think is Real Madrid's. That's because Real Madrid can negotiate that. They just go like, okay, well, this is the numbers that we pull. This is how many people watch us, and this is how many people are going to see your brand in our shirt. And they just up the deals. We have seen like they have gone from BWN, right? BWin. We have gone from that. We now have Fly Emirates because we go with who's going to pay us the most. And Fly Emirates paid us the most. And
correct.
That's it.
Yeah, that's just how it works, And so it's so interesting, to sort of wrap this all up. We started talking about Barcelona, and they have their own stadium situations, right? I still don't know when the Camp Nou is going to be ready for play. Talk about this was ready last year, and they still don't have a defined date yet where they're going to open.
And they have to force play in there, by the way, for people that don't understand, because if they don't register Camp Nou in Champions League, they can't use it. In La Liga, they can switch stadiums.
Right.
But in Champions League, they can't. Therefore, what stadium they're going to register is going to be the stadium that they're going to have to play in. And they were promised all of this. Okay, new stadium, new this, new that. It's just this pettiness, right? Yes, did we have construction problems with our stadium? Yes.
Sure did.
But we actually released official announcements. Hey, guys, there's going to be a delay. Of course, COVID hit. So the finances were definitely hit. So the club had to be a bit more cautious on the way how they're going to maneuver with everything that was going to happen. And one thing that this is for Madrid fans, Barcelona fans that want to use this. Real Madrid has specifically announced that the stadium money has nothing to do with transfers. It's a completely separate entity. It's official. They have told us a million times. So when you go like they're not making signings or something like that, please stop using this boring narrative. Oh, they built the stadium, so they're boring, so they're broke now. No, that's not how it works. That really agitates me for some reason. I see a lot of Barca fans, going like, why Madrid can when they have built a stadium and they're not making signings. Just like, maybe because we have a cap space that's 3 times as big as yours.
Right.
Could have literally, we know this officially, we could have signed the Mbappe 3 times last year.
Right.
3 times. And we would have still been able to afford it. Keep in mind, this is when they're struggling to even register any player, really. Literally, they had to go to court to register Gavi for the love of God. An academy player to get promoted that had to be registered, they were fighting on that. Well, we're chilling there. We could have signed 3 Mbappes, right? If you want to say Mbappe is overpaid, underpaid, whatever you say. We could have upped his wage 3 times and still been as comfortable as we were this year. That is the reality of how this club is ran and operate in terms of finances and business.
It's run very efficiently, and Florentino has and the board have a very clear project and plan in mind of how they spend the money and what they do. And again, it is in stark difference to what happens in the northern part of the country in Barcelona. The other thing I'll say is that Florentino, by the way, a little piece of this rivalry. He helped Laporta get Olmo signed and registered last year. I just want to put that out there. Now, I do think part of the reason for that is because Florentino's no dummy, as we clearly pointed out in this. He knows that for us to continue to be the best brand in the world, we need a foil. And Barcelona is our foil. We will let them be our foil. And that's fine. They can win some stuff. It's cool.
One, actually.
Right?
It's a perfect one.
Exactly. We will let them do that. Yeah, let them do whatever. But because we know in order for us to be the best version of ourselves, they have to exist in whatever form they exist in. So I will help them.
They are politicians after all, right? That's the reality. They are politicians. They have to be if they want to maintain that level of power. And Perez just politically played it right. He just went like, Barcelona, of course I'm going to sign it. It's fine. I want to support it. But on his hand, it's like, okay, if Barcelona continue on this downward trend, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to rely only on Champions League alone. I need some competition here. Like, look, I'm not saying that we ever enjoy Barcelona winning the league. I'm not going to say that.
No.
but we enjoy them being competitive and good because we
Yes.
need that.
Correct.
From a brand perspective and also footballing perspective, to be honest, because if you keep winning and winning and winning, you get complacent.
Correct.
Like, for all we know, last season was just winner's fatigue and nothing more than that. It can be as simple as winner's fatigue. These players can just go like, okay, this is way too boring. We just want this. We face that wall a bit more often than we like to. I think as a club, culturally, like we had a question where it went like, okay, we haven't won enough leagues. I'm like, well, no, we have won enough leagues because no team has won more leagues than us. But I see where you're coming from when you're saying that, okay, league should be a little bit more like a more often type of trophy that comes to us and not like once every 3 years or so.
But we don't want it to be though like the Bundesliga where Bayern wins or like Ligue 1 where PSG wins. Like we don't want that. We don't want that scenario, right? Like we do want this healthy competition.
It just doesn't let you be competitive enough, right? Because we always talk about, okay, PSG with Mbappe and Neymar, right? Back then, why can't they win Champions League? And more often than not, we would come into, well, it's pretty hard to have this big shift in quality of opponents that you're playing, right? And it's just like, okay, you might face some mental problems and also some physical problems because you're not used to that. Well, they kind of cracked the code last season. That's one time, right? It's a one-time thing that happened for them. I think we need Barcelona. I think Barcelona needs us.
Of course.
The way how I see it is for two different ways. We need them to maintain our brand, to continue being as big as possible and as competitive as possible. They need us to shit talk, right? Things. They need us to pull into the strings of relevancy because, well, guess what? Everybody forgot what you did last season, which is a normal thing, right? Like there's that type of, okay, this team is really good. This, that, come transfer window. Teams are shifting a bit of personnel, and that's kind of a forgotten story, which we have to go a lot through, right? And they don't know how to cope with it historically. Just like I said, like nobody ever really seems to even say that their last Champions League final appearance was in 2015. 2015, you had young Messi, young Suarez, and Neymar on that team that won it, right? Neymar practically retired. Suarez and Messi practically retired at this point, right? They're just pulling it. And like we have gone through transition generations. No, we're not celebrating a 4-0 win over you. By the way, we have beat them 4-0 at Camp Nou on our arguably the worst season of the Ancelotti era. I don't know which one it is it between this last one or the 2022-23. But guess what, guys? We beat them 4-0. We're not really parading it, right? Like it's not a parade. We just beat them and want to win it. That's about it. You know, it's a trophy ultimately for us. Vinicius scored literally a final hat trick in the first half, something that neither Ronaldo nor Messi have done. And we're not talking about that daily, you know? Like, don't see us. We actually see us shitting in our players for losing them. It's like, okay, you know, like...
it's a different mindset, right? It's just a different mindset, right?
It's what we're ingrained. Even our players, right? Like Thibaut, Jude, they were very critical of themselves / the club. They were critical of that because they just want to see do better because it's ingrained within the culture. Our culture, as I said last season, we diverted a lot from it. Like that crybaby Real Madrid TV thing. Let that to Barca. That's their bread and butter. Let them be that. You know, just let them talk. You know, come October, we're gonna play them. We'll talk. You know,
and we'll see what's what. And I think Xabi Alonso will change a lot of that with his style and his culture and how he does. As we wrap here, the last thing I'll say is you mentioned you hope that the stadium remains the Estadio Santiago Bernabéu. It is now just Bernabéu. If you look at the top of the stadium, and what I think they're making way for is for a title sponsor to be. So let's say it's I'm trying to think of a big brand. Let's say it is
Samsung, Apple.
Apple. Let's say it's Apple, right? But it won't be the Apple Stadium. It'll be Apple presents the Bernabeu, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it'll be something like that. That's why they removed the Santiago.
It's
So we'll
not
see.
a direct name change like
Correct.
Barcelona, where it's Spotify,
Spotify.
because
Exactly.
they sold the rights of the name.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
by the way, it's very funny that Laporta registered them selling the studio, right?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they haven't even been able to sell it. Literally, nobody matched that price of the studio. So they just kind of briefly lied. Look, we know that La Liga has to allow them to do this, unfortunately, because they have to be competitive. If we really want to go by the books, right, they wouldn't have Koundé on their team. They wouldn't have Dani Olmo on their team. Those are the two players that I'll say for sure did not make the cut. But the league bent the rules or the narrative to let them register because they wanted them to be competitive. Like Koundé, when he got registered, can't believe that La Liga went and said, oh, one of our employees did some math mistakes. Literally, this was their statement. 3 months of summer, every day, right? Every day is being reported that Barcelona is struggling with finances. They are on this cap, and they need to generate funds. And La Liga just goes like, okay, Barcelona just haven't been able. By the way, it's the summer of these all fake sales of Laporta. League just has to go like, okay, we need Koundé to play for this team because, oh my God, they're bad. And they go like, you know what? One of our employees actually did some math mistakes. They can register Koundé. Oh, 2 days before the transfer.
A math mistake. Meanwhile, we want to just ask them to push the game back by 7 days, and it's like freaking federal case. No, you can't do anything.
And you know what's funny? Osasuna is supporting it. Like a team that, like a team that's completely rested since last season is just going like, hey, we understand where these guys are coming from, right? Like, I don't think it hurts if you give them a week more. I think that you can make a schedule up for that. Like maybe instead of going into the vacation on December 15th, they go on December 21st, for example, and they just finish up this because it's genuinely unfair. Like it's literally technically you're not the only one. Atleti is there too, but Atleti got bounced on the group stages. By the way, Atleti was pushing for the same thing, but suddenly very silent.
Well, listen, we know how that goes. Atleti will never do anything that helps us.
We're unreasonable for going like, hey, we have played literally in July.
Right.
We're very tired. Our games have been 85 last season because of the amount of competitions that we participated in. We started the season first, by the way, in European Super Cup against Atalanta. We were the team to start the season first, and we were the last team to end it in Spain. We need a week. We're not asking you for a month.
A week, just a week.
Give us a week, And they're going like, no. You have to play, right? You just have to play. Look, fair enough, ultimately, right? But they know we're going to be good. So we get treated by the standard rules. They just know that, okay, there's no fear, these guys are good. If you don't let them register Olmo, you don't let them register Koundé, Gavi, it's just like, oh, what are we looking here at? It's like Barcelona is a club that makes signings without knowing if they can register them.
They just sign.
Years in a row now. Right now, as it currently stands, their captain got stripped, but he's holding them hostage from registering any of the players because apparently, there are two camps, right? We don't know which one is like. But apparently, his injury isn't as serious as Barcelona wants to declare it. And Ter Stegen is pushing with, okay, look, I'm fine, like, hey, that's not really. And he's also using the law that protects Barcelona from sending his documentation without his approval. So he's using the law there. And Barcelona is going like, oh, look, this guy that we just shit-talked for the past 3 months because we want to get rid of him, he's not respecting us. They sent Dembele to the stands. I said, like, the fact that Laporta went and leaked Messi's contract, right? It's just insane. The fact that he knew that he was getting extension after extension, right, with them upping his wage, to just keep him there and keep him happy. Like, we got to take care of him. But you know what's funny? Laporta did all of that. let's be honest, he would have done the same thing at least with Messi, because you want that guy happy. But
sure.
he goes on that smear campaign, as I like to call him, against any player that doesn't benefit them, which is why I call him like the best politician in Spain, because he can just spin that narrative of, hey guys, we're the victims of La Liga here, but actually we were allowed to register players without selling any assets, literally. Not because they didn't want to sell them, by the way, because they couldn't sell them. This is
that is their beautiful magic trick. On the one hand, they are Mes que un club. We are so great, but on the other hand, we are the victims every time against this great system that's trying to oppress us. It's a beautiful magic trick they're able to weave and spin. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us on this special episode. Sid, Loconte, and I will be back next week for sure as we start ramping up the seasons. God, we're about 11 days away. And we'll give you some preview stuff coming up as well. Make sure you check out the preview Sid did yesterday on La Liga. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Bye.